Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to today's episode. Join me in painting and explaining the Jonah complex. Jonah complex is an idea that I came upon recently, and I decided to paint it and also to. So I'll be sharing the idea behind it and anything around it. The Jonah complex is an idea that was made by Abraham Maslow, and it came from the Bible. The story is a point at which Jonah, who was a prophet, was sent to Nineveh by God, and he decided to disobey and went in a different direction. The results, there was a wave on the ocean, and then the people in the ship, they were wondering who is not well with his gods, and Jonah said, "It's me, I have caused all this trouble." So what happened next was the people tried to save him, but the waves continued being big and they had no option. They told him, "We have to throw you off." And when he was thrown, he was swallowed by a big fish, a whale. So the idea of the Jonah complex is the idea that we fear responsibility. We don't want to seem arrogant, and we also sometimes don't know what will happen, and we even sometimes fear experiencing rejections from our friends and family. So if you've ever made like a big decision, either a job, education, or your relationships, and then you've considered what could go wrong before checking out on what could go right, then probably you've experienced the Jonah complex. Jonah complex is experiencing fear and safety over what you could be or what you could achieve if you tried out the thing that you are afraid of. Fear is the lack of belief, and we fear that maybe we might not maintain some of the things that we might achieve, and that is a godlike part of ourselves for those who believe in God, and even for those who believe in the hero's journey, goodwill, and we all watch all things knowing that the good will always win, because through the tales, the myths, we see a glimpse of our own soul. So even when you're trying to do that extra thing, when you're trying to study for that 1 more hour, what you're battling is not something outside. It is the resistance that is within. Someone said that the greatest enemy is not from outside, but it is within. It is not to, and the goal is not. Source gave you a print that no one else has, so that you can leave an imprint that no one else can. So even in whatever you want to do, whatever your dreams and aspirations you have, remember that you're here for a reason and you need to work towards making it happen. This reminds me of a story of a farmer. The farmer had a horse, and one day it just ran away, and the following day it came back with 7 horses. Now on the very first day when it ran away, the villagers came and said, "Sorry, And then the next day, when it came with 7 others, the villagers came and said, aren't you happy? And then the farmer was like, maybe. And then the next day, a son was trying to train one of the horses, and he was trying to just make the horses more trainable. But what happened is he got injured because that horse threw him off. And then the neighbors came and asked, oh my goodness, we're sorry, what happened? What are you going to do? And then he was like, I don't know. And then the next day, apparently the army was recruiting youth to join their army. And what happened is that when they reached there and found the boy had broken his leg, they were not pleased and they did not take him, because they don't need a person who has a broken leg. So the villagers came again and said, what do you think? Isn't that a good thing? The farmer was like, maybe. And that story taught me that the whole process of nature is too complex. You may not know the consequences of the misfortune or even the good fortune. As for me, I think one of the things that I really fought for or to do was to start creating art. And I really fought a lot, and I've taken so much time to be able to really accept that is what I like. That's something that really fulfills me. And one thing I have learned and I would like to share with you is, when you use your creativity, what you experience, Friedrich Nietzsche called it Rauchi. And this is like a physiological feeling and excitement of power that pervades your mind and body each time you create something. And he said that every time you create something, you simultaneously sculpt yourself. And also, Carl Jung also said, it is not the god that creates Faust, but Faust that creates Gout. So creativity compensates for the ugly that exists in the human experience. And when our lives is falling apart like a raft of sheep in the ocean, it keeps us psychologically sane. Also, Nietzsche said in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, creation that is the great redemption from suffering and life's growing light. So, the psychologist Eric tells the antidote of a man who wanted to be a fiction writer, had excuses and had internal forces, and after a while he realized that it has been like 32 years and he had not started. So he started panicking and started having saying that his time was all spent, and his youthful energy also had been wasted. So he got a mental breakdown. And I think one of those writers says that one of the most wicked, destructive forces, psychologically speaking, is unused creative power. If someone has a creative gift and out of laziness or for some other reason does not use it, the psychic energy turns into sheer poison. And that is why we often diagnose neurosis and psychotic diseases as not lived higher possibilities. And that is according to Marie-Louise and von Franz. So People who have a creative side and do not leave it out are the most disagreeable. They make a mountain out of a molehill, fuse about unnecessary things, and a kind of floating energy in them that is not attached to the right object. And therefore it tends to apply to exaggerated dynamism, to wrong situations. Like you would find someone who will just wake up and come for no reason and make your life unbearable. And for whichever reason, they don't even have a reason. You don't even have a reason why they are trying to do that. Another way the Jonah complex comes up is overthinking. And worry, according to, I don't remember the person who said, is the interest paid on a debt you may never owe. You may never owe that debt. And you overthink because you believe that every decision is permanent, every choice closes all the other doors, and one wrong move ruins everything. So what are some of the things that you could do when you are worried, or some of the ideas that came up? One of it was to have like 3 circles. So there's one circle that's things that you can control, and those are your actions, your reactions, and efforts. Second circle, these are things that you influence. So one of the things that you influence is your outcomes, the relationships, and even some of the results. And then you have the third circle that these are things that you do not have control. And some of the things that you cannot control are other people's opinions, other people's reactions, the past, and even the future. So overthinking only happens in the third circle. So to apply today, when a loop happens in your mind, ask yourself, which circle does this? Is it in the things that you can control? Is it things that you influence, or things you do not even have control over? And then if you check in, so if you check with the first circle, then you ask yourself, okay, what can I do with the things that I have in control? And then if it's in the second circle, you go, what can you release and then rest? Like, what outcomes can you just release? Relationships, the results. And then if the thing that you're worried about is in the third circle, name it, then let it pass. And this is the reason it works. So overthinking is misplaced energy. And I think like the Greeks, they thought precisely about what actually mattered. You don't become cold, you just become clear. Instead of overthinking, observe the thought and say it loud, and think in which circle is it. Is it in the first circle? Is it in the second circle? Or is it in the third circle? The hardest part of our inner work isn't the darkness. It is what happens to your identity when the light turns on. And that is what we are talking about. When you face the things that you want to overcome, when you're facing the big things that you like, your big goals. So what happens is that what makes the shadow work uncomfortable is it starts challenging the version of you that learned how to survive with what you have been doing, the masks, the coping strategy, the identity you build around to feel safe and loved. and accepted. Remember, when you are a small kid, when you are a small child, you are very helpless. You don't know how this world works, and the only thing you know is how to cry. So you um, try being accepted. So if your caregiver gives you attention when you cry, then you know that you need to cry anytime you need attention, and that becomes a coping mechanism. So even as we get older, that happens, and every time someone tries to do something that is uncomfortable, we tend to not like it. We tend to shrink back, and we tend to just not try going forward. And it is not our fault, and it's neither the fault of the caregivers, because probably that is the best they knew. So in that case, if you read the Bible, if you are a believer, or if you actually just read the Bible, Jesus said that people don't reject light because their way of living depends on it. People love darkness because their deeds were evil, resisting awareness. So whoever wants to save their life will lose it. And that gets me thinking and wondering, could it be the reason why most of the prophets, most of the people who try to be aware, Jesus himself, Buddha, I don't know, all those people who have tried to just just do the most honorable things maybe on earth? And I'm thinking maybe they did not lose their lives because we still talk about them today, talk about Jesus Christ himself, Buddha, and even, like, say, musicians like Lucky Dube, like all those people who did their best, like who really actualized themselves, who really fought through, regardless of how the situations were, to be able to do like a good remarkable things, like very noble things, excellence in whatever they were doing. So the inner freedom isn't bypassing the discomfort. It comes from allowing what's unconscious to become seen. And that is so painful. And I feel like that is why we always feel very, very, very heavy when we're trying to change some of the things that we feel are not good, some of the behaviors that we were just coping with them, but they're not helping us right now. And it is a battle, but you will always win. Always. Well, sometimes you might not, but at least you would have tried, I guess. Maybe, yeah. I think for me, I would say I am still trying. It is so hard, but I keep trying every single day. And I think one of the things that you can, like one of the actions that you can try and do is follow the idea of, was it Pavlov? The one who was using the dogs when they see food, they salivate. So one thing you can do is having short or small clues about the actions that you want to take. Say you want to start running. So the first thing is to have a cue. Probably get your shoes ready for running, or buy yourself like a cute outfit, and then put it somewhere you can see the first thing you wake up. Put your shoes ready, and that will be like your first cue. And then make sure it's visible and attractive, and then you can do it. You can pair it with what you would like to do. and then make like, just don't try to start big, just start small, and then have like a reward. Always reward yourself. You don't even have to buy yourself something big. You can always do something small, like you can make your best cup of coffee, or you can give yourself like a sweet, I don't know, just something beautiful that you look forward to getting after you have gone for maybe you run. And always make sure that whatever you're doing is close to, like, say when you're running, that is it your running attire, you can try and make sure that they're close to you, because at the end of the day, environment, even if you're motivated, even if you've tried your best, you've said, this year is my year, I will be running 5 kilometers a day. Even if you're motivated, as long as the environment is not supporting you, as long as you have not put those things like visibly, you've not made it easy for you to even start, because it's so hard to start something. So it is going to be a bit hard. You will sleep and say, let me sleep for like 2 more minutes, and then it will go to 15, and then it will go to 20, and then you just say, oh, let me just do it another day, and then you'll never ever do it. And then another thing is identify yourself with the outcome. So don't say, I want to run. Say, I am a runner. Like, it's not like I want to run. No. I am a runner. So that's, at the end of the day, what we say. I think words have real power even to ourselves. And funny thing I realized is, I think when you say it loud enough, the brain doesn't differentiate between someone telling you and you actually saying it. It's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, you can do that. And then stop fighting yourself, and don't try to go for perfection. Don't start today and say, I will run 20 kilometers. Start with 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3, 4, and then one day you will get to 20 kilometers. And yeah. So another way of solving the Jonah complex is, according to Maslow's, embracing the B values. Some values that he called them B values, and some of them are truth, embracing truth, goodness, beauty, wholeness, aliveness, uniqueness, perfection, completion, justice, simplicity, oh wow, simplicity, yeah, richness, effortlessness, playfulness, wholeness, and a strong sense of creativity. And with that, we come to the end of the Jonah complex. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye.